Cashify it's like this in saying something like the ego doesn't exist. And I don't know exactly which phenomena that we call the ego you mean, but let's just say the sense of personal self, because that seems to apply. I think more than one of the definitions could apply to what you're saying about the ego when you say it doesn't exist. All of the above, right? So let's just use that one, all right? Because that's the one that's this personal thing that we wrap intentionality and desires and creativity, plans, history, point of view. Okay? Now you could say that's a delusion, but let's be careful. What is a delusion? Right? A thing that exists can be a delusion. What's a delusion is your idea of it. You have an idea, and then there's something that exists, and your idea is a delusion. If the thing doesn't exist, then having an idea that it exists, yeah, that's a delusion, right? So the thing does. So you're saying the idea of existence is a delusion. Fine, get rid of it. Okay, so wait a second. There's still a phenomenon. It actually still exists. You just needed another idea. The fact that the first idea was a delusion doesn't mean there's no phenomena. See? The fact that something's still happening means that it exists. And if you want to say no, then you have to say relative to something. Relative to, in the real world, it doesn't exist. But if everything's a dream world, then there is no real world to compare to. To exist doesn't mean it exists in some idealized world. That vision of an idealized world is the delusion. You still believe in that because you use it to compare our perceptions to. We have perceptions. You say no, they don't exist. They're not in the real world. But the perceptions exist in some world, right? So I don't see how you're going to say something doesn't exist in that sense when we're naming a phenomenon. We have to change our idea of you'd like to call the physical stuff bricks, but you admit that could just be photons or it could be energy, could be whatever you want to call it. All of the above, transformative equivalency between the above and whatever. But we used to think they were bricks. Bricks meant solid, solid in the middle, you know, and this kind of solid little building block. And then, that was a delusion. It was an illusion. It looks like things are that way. It looks like you touch physical matter, but really that's just all energy and magnetism reacting. So the original idea was a delusion or an illusion. It was wrong. What it described did not exist. But what it was attempting to describe still exists. What the delusion is attempting to describe always exists, at least as a phenomena. Now, it might be just phenomenological, where the phenomena doesn't match very well in reality, kind of a pattern of patterns where you see, epiphenic, and you see a pattern that didn't really exist. But there's still going to be the contributing phenomena, like with ghosts. Okay, the idea of ghosts is dead people walking around because they can't leave the body because they have unfinished business. That's a delusion, and I don't actually know that that is a delusion, but that would be a delusion. There's still this phenomena of people seeing ghosts. At the very least, it's a psychological phenomena. A non-diluted view on that phenomena would maybe say, oh, it's psychological. It's something going on in the brain. Or it is ghosts, but they're not here because they have unfinished business. It's because they like to party. You know, it's there's a phenomena leading to the delusions, and the phenomena, you go back to that. You go back to the phenomena. What is the phenomena? The phenomena is our perceptions. All right, now, having said that, okay, having said that, some of our perceptions we call sensible. And which are those? Those are the ones that we associate with our waking dream. The sensible ones have this quality of consistency that we've discovered, that we can name or leave nameless, or give an esoteric, mysterious name. You know, or we can confuse ourselves a little bit, maybe, but call it material. But it's this consistency that exists between certain sense perceptions, and it's associated with the waking dream. sensible data is waking dream data. Nighttime data, that's different. That's the illusory. And we found out it's still physical, it still takes place in reality, looks like. According to a materialist model, it still is material, but in this different way because it's just material in the brain. And there's no correspondence, there's no phenomena that is consistent and interpersonal and all the rest, and consistent over time. Because there's a similarity. It's not like you need interpersonal confirmation to get the basic idea, because you're changing over time. So you can get something similar to an interpersonal point of view by, if you keep looking at a problem over time, you'll end up having different perspectives on it. If you just think, well, I was wrong before, and you don't give credence to your old opinions, and you just think, well, I'm just right now, and you don't give credence to your future opinions, you can't really, exploit that. But if you're more honest with yourself and more trusting and say, well, I did have a point, I see something different now, and you realize, oh, and I have a point now, but I'll probably see something different in the future. And then in the future, you could be looking at all of those opinions as, advice on the subject as you reconsider it. But there's no denying that a big part of the consistency is over the life of social animals and language. We can trade more and more of this information and get a handle on which of the facts, which of the perceptions that we have, that we, basic, that we, that we believe, which are facts, where a fact is, something that could be shared, something that I saw that I would expect someone else to see if they came and look at what I looked at. All right, cheers.